As I am filming this, it is the 1st of November, which means a new month for reading. And at the start of a new month, I have realised I kind of have a little bit of a routine that I go through in terms of my reading to kind of sign off the previous month and welcome in a new month of reading. And I really like this routine. It just feels quite a calming thing to do. I really enjoy it, and it also is a really nice moment in the month to look back on what I've read and then look forward to what I would like to read in the month ahead. I wanted to bring you along with me for my routine today, my new month reading routine, pretty much my reading monthly resets. And the first thing that I wanted to do is to chat through the books that I've read in October. So I'm just looking at my Goodreads to figure out which book I first read in October. So this month I have started 4 books. I finished 2 of them. I'm in the middle of one of them and very sadly feel like I'm DNFing one of them, which I am actually really sad about because it's nothing to do with not enjoying the book. I just think I'm not in a romancy mood at the moment, but we'll get to that. The first book that I read in October is Frankie by Graham Norton. This book follows our main character Frankie and we essentially look at her life. The book opens in modern day when she meets her new carer Damien. She's in her 80s and it's through the conversations that she has with Damien that we then go on to explore her life. And her life goes from post-war Ireland to New York in the 80s, and then we find out how she finds herself in London in modern day. There were so many topics that were explored throughout the book, and it was actually something that I really enjoyed about the fact that it covered Frankie's whole lifetime, because through covering that time period we were able to explore lots of important and meaningful topics throughout this book. So I really liked that aspect of it. I also really enjoyed Graham Norton's writing. I've read a thriller by Graham Norton before, which I really enjoyed. It was called A Keeper. It's one of my favourite books. And so I was really interested to see what his writing would be like in this different genre. And it was really great. He had an amazing way of writing everyday moments or moments that you might be familiar with in a way that you could really relate to them, but also in a way that I've not seen those moments written about before. He was just able to perfectly describe certain moments, and I think because of that, through that kind of writing, I was able to really connect to Frankie. Also, you might know if you have watched a few of my videos that I'm a big fan of immersive reading, which is what I did with a lot of this book, and I really enjoyed the audiobook. It was Graham Norton himself narrating it, which I really enjoyed. I felt like he did a great job, and there was also a little bit of an element of added production at certain points throughout the book, and I really enjoyed those moments in the book too. I feel like any sort of production added into an audiobook is something I'm a real fan of. What I would say is I maybe found the ending of this one a little bit quick compared to the rest of the book. I think I would have liked to have spent longer around the ending point of this book. But what I would say is if you're looking for a book with beautiful writing that is meaningful and also has a great audiobook, I would definitely recommend this one, and I gave it 3.5 stars. Next up was our October book club pick of the month, which was Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood. So this book follows Bella, who is a witch, and she is about to turn 30, and on her 30th birthday she realises that she has to take part in these trials which basically decide whether she keeps her powers or not. And I really enjoyed the way a lot of this story unfolded. The characters were really intriguing and they added a lot to the plot points. I feel like the characters were a real central part of this book that I really enjoyed, and I felt like the way that the twists and turns throughout this book happened really drew on the magic element of the book, which I really enjoyed. Also alongside this though, I would say that I would have loved to have seen a little bit more of the romantic element of the book, purely because I really enjoyed the romance element that was put in the book. So I'd have just liked to have seen a little bit more of that dynamic. But other than that, it was overall a really cozy read. I rated it 3.5 stars and it was lovely to read this together this month. Next up was Don't Be in Love by Liana Cincotti, which I read on my Kindle. I started to read on my Kindle. This is sadly the book that I am deciding to DNF, and I have to stress in this part of the video that it is not because I'm not enjoying this book. I absolutely was loving it. I started it last week and I was really enjoying it. I think that I'm just really in the mood for a real page-turning thriller or a historical fiction, and because of that I was just struggling to get into the book. But that is not to say that I did not enjoy this book or was not enjoying it or will not return to it, because as soon as I am in the mood for a romance I'm going to pick this book back up because it was great so far. Like I said, I will return to it and I will give you my full thoughts when I do. And the next book that I am in the middle of, which, let me just put my tea down, which is one that I picked up a few days after I started Don't Be in Love by Liana Cincotti, is The German Daughter by Marius Gabriel. Now this book came highly recommended to me by my friend at work, who we often share book recommendations with one another, and we have a very similar taste in books. Now this book flicks between several different timelines, but the central timeline at the beginning so far is Agnes, who is in England in 1968. Shortly after her grandfather dies, she finds out this secret that has been kept from her, and this secret is linked to World War II, to Germany in World War II. It's very much a historical fiction. I've been learning quite a few things, of course, even though it is a fiction, I've been learning quite a few things that I maybe didn't know or didn't know too much about, and I've just found this book overall a brilliant read. Again, I'm really looking forward to sharing my full thoughts with you when I have finished this one. So that is what my October looked like in terms of reading, and the next step in my monthly reading reset is to update my reading journal. I really enjoy this moment of updating my reading journal. It feels like quite a calming moment. I normally put something on in the background or listen to some music or sometimes listen to an audiobook and update my reading journal. I essentially put whatever I've put on my Goodreads and write that down over in my reading journal. I just really like having that physical copy reading journal. It's really nice to look through that, and I might add in a few more thoughts or things that come to mind as I'm filling in my journal about different books that I've read that month, and I just really have enjoyed having that as a kind of physical reading tracker. So next step is to, I was going to say make another cup of tea, but this one's still warm, so I've got my cup of tea. Just maybe get cozy, decide what I'm going to watch or listen to, and fill in my reading journal. So my reading journal is all updated, which is such a nice feeling, honestly. I feel very refreshed now that that is updated. And my next step in my monthly reading reset is to update my Fable book club with our book pick of the month. So every month over on Fable and also over on Instagram and TikTok as well, we vote for a new book to read together, and we chat throughout the month about the book that we're reading, and we share our reviews about the book that we're reading. And I really enjoy reading a book together each month. And this month I am so excited for our book because it is one that I have wanted to read for so long. It comes highly recommended. It is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. This book follows a therapist who is trying to understand why a woman has stopped talking after shooting her husband. Now, I have heard so many good things about this book. I have heard that it is so twisty, so turny, so gripping, such a page turner. My friend at work that I mentioned who recommended The German Daughter to me, she has read this book and really enjoyed it, and quite a few other people I know have read this one and have highly recommended it as well. So I was so pleased when we picked this as our November book club read of the month. And what I'd like to do now is to update my Fable book club. So each month I update it with the book that we're reading, and it's always a really nice moment to update the book club, get excited about the book that we're reading together. And at this point I also like to go through any reviews of the previous month's book club pick, which was Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood. I like to go through any reviews that you share on Fable and read through them, see what everybody thought about them just before I update the book club with this month, The Silent Patient. And if you want to read along with us this month, everything is always linked in the description. Our Fable book club and also my other social media accounts, so my BookTok and my Bookstagram, where I always chat about all of the books that I'm reading as well. So of course, one of the main things that I do at the start of a new month is decide on that month's TBR. So I'm kind of quite relaxed about my TBR. I just like to pick a couple of books that I fancy reading. Usually I read a few from my TBR, and that TBR maybe might change throughout the month, but I just find it really nice to think about the couple of books that I would really like to read in the month ahead. So that is what I'm doing now. I am going to sit down and plan my November TBR. I of course know that I want to read, or want to finish, should I say, The German Daughter. I also know that I am going to read The Silent Patient, being our book club pick. I kind of have no idea what I fancy reading next, and as I say, whatever I pick now might change, but I think I'm going to be in the mood for thrillers. I feel like I haven't actually read a thriller for a little bit. I didn't really read one in October, actually thinking about it, and I love a thriller, so I'm definitely going to want to read a thriller, another thriller, and maybe another couple of thrillers, and a historical fiction maybe as well. I'm just going to have a look around. I'm looking here because my laptop's here. I'm going to have a look around on my laptop, and then once I've decided, I will get back to you with my November TBR. Okay, that honestly took me quite a while to decide which books I wanted to add to my TBR, but I think I've decided. So of course, just to recap, we have The German Daughter and we have The Silent Patient, which are already on the list. And now I've firstly decided to add The Rose Code by Kate Quinn. This follows three women in Bletchley Park. It's set in two different timelines. One follows them during the war, working in Bletchley Park, which for those of you who don't know is the kind of code-breaking centre of World War II. And then the other timeline follows the women a few years after the war as they essentially get back together to confront a traitor who was at Bletchley Park. So it's a historical fiction, which, as I mentioned earlier, is one that I really fancy reading. I really want to read a book in that genre recently because I'm really enjoying The German Daughter, and so I want to explore more historical fictions. I've only read a handful of historical fictions before, but each of them I have really enjoyed, so I want to keep the historical fiction books coming, and I'm really looking forward to reading that one. The next book I've decided to add to my November TBR is The Wife and the Widow by Christian White. And this is set on a very eerie small town island. It is a thriller and it follows two women. One whose husband has recently died, and following his death she is finding out things that she didn't know about him. And the other woman in the book is essentially confronting her husband's guilt around something. The description of the book doesn't really let us know what that is around, but I essentially googled thrillers with the best plot twists, the most gripping thrillers, and this book came up and it sounds really interesting. I'm really intrigued. I think the setting is the perfect setting for a good thriller, and as soon as I read the description I wanted to know more, so it went straight on my November TBR. And I think I'm going to stick for now to those 4 books. The 4 of those books are ones that I'm really fancying reading, I'm really looking forward to reading, and I would really love to know what is on your November TBR. It's a very fun month for reading. I feel like it's the perfect time of year for a lot of genres. You could read a cozy romance, you can read an eerie thriller. This thriller, actually, The Wife and the Widow by Christian White, is set in winter, I believe, so that also feels extra perfect. It just feels like the perfect reading month, and whatever books or genre of books you really enjoy reading, I'm sure there are plenty that are perfect for this time of year. So I would really love to know what you are planning on reading, and I'd also really love to know what you've been reading in October, what you've been loving, any recommendations. I'm starting to have a think about the books that I want to read before the end of the year, so do let me know any of your top recommendations and I will be sure to add them to my list, because I feel like my best reads of the year so far have been ones that have been recommended to me, so please do let me know and I'll add them to my list. And before the end of today's video, the last thing that I like to do is have a little bit of a tidy of my bookshelf, make sure my reading nook is nice and cozy and ready to go for when I fancy sitting down with my latest book. So I just find that a really nice part of the process to finish off my reading reset. And thank you so much for joining me today. It's been really lovely to chat to you, and as I say, please do let me know what you're reading. I always love to hear what you're reading, your reviews, your favourites. It's really nice and fun to chat about books, and so do let me know some of your faves in the comments, because I always love to hear. And I will see you very soon after I've organised my bookshelf with a new video. Just as I was organising my bookshelf, some new bookish prints arrived that were very kindly sent to me by Moonshine Prints, which I think are perfect additions to my reading nook, so I'm just going to find my spot for them. I absolutely love Moonshine Prints. If you're looking for any prints at all, they are the place to go.